In this video, we'll take a look at Ben Shapiro's best moments. So as I'm sure you all know, Ben Shapiro is a super smart fella. This video is a compilation of some of his best moments from when he answered questions made by the audience. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump straight into today's video. Number 1. So in this clip, Ben Shapiro had just given a speech and a man confronts him about his views on abortion. He challenges Shapiro's definition of life and Ben Shapiro quickly realizes that in many ways he is wrong. His response is actually super interesting, so let's go ahead and take a look.
I think there's two things that make life valuable. I think consciousness, the ability to experience pain, senses and stuff like that, and personal identity. In particular, psychological continuity identity. So the fact that we have memories, we have relationships, people have relationships to us. I think those are
Do you need both of those, or is it neither or? I just want to clarify your position.
Either or.
Okay, so if it's either or, then people with Alzheimer's have real continuity problems, you can't kill them.
No, because people still have relationships with them though, right? So like just because you have
I mean, you have a relationship with them, but with people with advanced stage Alzheimer's, they really don't have.
The man gets asked if he thinks it's okay to kill a person in a coma, and if you thought that first clip was funny, then just wait for this one. The crowd started laughing, and he actually did as well. It's super crazy, so let's go ahead and take a look at the clip.
So I would say on the legal grounds, it would depend if what the person put in their will. If the person has made clear statements like, hey, don't pull the plug on 9 months, then don't do that. Because I think the first choice is...
Right, but let's say the person has not made such clear statements. Say the person can't make such clear statements.
So and he's just in a complete coma?
Let's say the person has not drawn up a living will or had conversations like this. They're in a car crash, they get in a coma, you know that in 9 months they're going to come out of the coma, and they're going to be fine. Are you allowed to stab? Can the family say, you know what, these 9 months, stab the dude.
Wait, so they're fine, so they're going to get their memories back?
Let's say they don't get their memories back.
Then I would say then that person is dead. And yeah, if the family wants to pull the plug...
Number 2. In this clip, Shapiro gave a speech for the Young America's Foundation and someone asked him if he believes that he incites violence. His response was pretty shocking, so let's go ahead and take a look at that.
By the rhetoric and agenda of Donald Trump and a lot of his associates as they've come out in the Vice documentary and claimed, you've not only said controversial things, but you've had a couple of attacks against the trans community, transphobic attacks, even your call for the transfer of Palestinians, which I don't know if you've redacted that.
Yeah, I redacted that like 8, 9 years ago.
I just wanted to make sure. I wanted to ask you. No, I'm just learning about Ben.
No, really, that's fine. That's fine.
But even with that, do you feel that a lot of your speech could incite the same kind of violence?
I mean, you heard my speech tonight. Do you feel that my speech could incite violence?
Well,
Then she asks him if he believes that his disagreements and comments might have been misunderstood and used to incite transphobia. He gave her a quick and direct response that completely shut down her argument.
I disagree with either their definition is wrong or it's overly broad in its application.
okay.
So if the idea is that if I say a man is a man and a woman is a woman is inherently transphobic, that's not discrimination, that's disagreement. If they say that's discrimination, they're overly applying their own label.
I think when you say like they're mentally ill, like that gives off
I have said, and I will continue to maintain, that gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder, whichever DSM you choose to use, is a mental illness. That is... And that...
Number 3. In this clip, Ben Shapiro is at another YAF speech and he gets asked about his standpoint and views on trans people, and they also ask him why he believes what he believes because he has a pretty extreme view on this subject. He answered the question rather swiftly and he actually gave a pretty eloquent and educated response.
Okay, but you're still saying these kids should not be accepted because they don't really fit into either place? They can't just
I'm saying that the Boy Scouts have a standard. You must be a biological boy to be a Boy Scout. You have to be a boy to be a Boy Scout.
Where's that written though? Okay.
In the name Boy Scouts. Because this is a very because for all of human history, boy meant boy and girl.
This second part of the clip is actually the best bit. Ben addresses how age and gender identification are viewed in a similar way to solve the dilemma, and well, take a look at this for yourself. The girl was left completely speechless.
Why? Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, I won't ask you how old. I will ask you how old you are. Okay, because you're young enough that it's probably not insulting to ask you. So.
I'm 22, so I'm probably young and naive, right?
No. Why aren't you 60? Why aren't you 60?
Because
And why can't you identify as 60? What is the problem with you identifying as 60?
it's not the same as gender. You can't just...
You're right. Age is significantly less important than gender.
Number 4. In this clip we can see Shapiro giving yet another speech for the YAF. He's asked about American intervention around the world and how he can possibly say Obama was an interventionist. Let's go ahead and take a look at Shapiro's response.
So you're right that it's an overstatement in the sense that a full isolationist would be somebody who brings all of our troops home. But in terms of relative American involvement in political matters outside of Libya, where he was obviously an interventionist, he was tended toward isolationism. Now, being in the presidency tends to make isolation.
As you can see, he quickly answered the question, however, it did not stop there. He continues to defend his position and the crowd seemed to agree with him and even end up clapping.
Basically delegated power in the region to the Iranians, which is the worst possible solution. So when I say isolationist, I don't necessarily mean just in terms of troop use. I think that you can be an isolationist also in terms of how you approach diplomacy. President Obama was somebody who wanted to minimize America's presence on the world stage and our power on the world stage and our reach on the world stage. I don't think President Trump feels the same way, and I think that that's made for a more solidifying Middle East under President Trump than it did under President Obama.
Number 5. In this clip, Ben Shapiro destroyed a socialist in, yes, you guessed it, a YAF speech. The clip gets super intense, let's just say they are both very expressive.
That voluntarily for me.
If you're just one person trying to assemble pencils, you're not going to get very far. You need workers. Capital needs labor infinitely more than labor needs capital. That's why you have worker cooperatives where the workers are the ones...
I fundamentally disagree on the distinction between capital and labor. Capital is just a term for money. If you're talking about money, money does not grow from the ground. Money only has value because it was traded for labor at one point or the products of labor. So if I take my money and I buy machinery, I have invested my labor in doing that because I didn't get the money from nowhere. Even if I got it from my parents didn't get the money from nowhere. The people who built the machines required me to trade something of value to them in order for me to obtain the machines. The people who invented the machines required...
Shapiro then argues that the worker gets paid a fair amount because the economic risk the owner takes is greater than the risk that the worker takes. So in this video we saw some of Ben Shapiro's finest moments come from Q&As he did for the Young America's Foundation. Anyway, thank you for watching this far into the video. If you did enjoy, please remember to like and subscribe. Also, if you liked this video, then you will love one of the two on your screen right now.